For this, I would like to invite on stage Ms. Pallavi Arora, VP Customer Experience Center at Cisco, and Ms. Pallavi Srinivasa, Senior Director, Product Management at Cisco. A brief intro. I would like to invite Pallavi Arora and Pallavi Srinivasa onto the stage. A big round of applause. A brief intro about Pallavi Srinivasa. Pallavi is a Cisco veteran of 20 plus years with a diverse experience in various roles, such as user experience, sales, marketing strategy, and product management across the diverse customer segment. Outside the Cisco responsibility, she is also very active in mentoring STEM programs and Startup Accelerator, influencing business and diversity of leadership in technology companies. I would request, over to Pallavi, and I would request Pallavi to introduce Pallavi Arora and start the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Pallavi calling Pallavi.
Yeah, it's
This
like
is
Kramer
nice.
versus Kramer moment.
Yes. All right. Thank you for staying back, braving the rain. We will get started, given we have only 20 minutes.
They're stopping them from leaving, so I think.
Yes, let's get started. So Pallavi, you've been at Cisco doing various roles, engineering, and now you're at customer success. And this is a product management summit. What I want to get to is we've sort of, every product management summit, we've beaten to death in terms of customer requirements, listening to customers, customer obsession, whatever you want to call it, right? So product managers, as product managers, we do that a lot. You also talk to customers. So I want to understand your perspective when you speak to them and how product management and customer experience / customer success can work together to make it better.
That's a great question, Pallavi. In fact, I probably talk to customers, my team at least talks to customers every single day, right? And so the way I look at it is the product team, engineering team develop the products, give it to customers. After that, they're gone, and then we hold their hand through the next set of life cycle, right? And what we really see is at the end of the day, so two things, right? One of the things is what actually happens after that. So they bought it for the features, but then what they realize is when the day two comes, when they have to manage those products, right? Management is a big nightmare. So every time I go to customers and then I ask them, predominantly, you know, if you are in a B2B business, the people you typically talk to are your CTOs and CIOs, right? Who literally run the product. They can be using your products for themselves, they could be using your products for their customers in turn, and you ask them and they say that, you know what, we have invested in all of this, but managing them on a day-to-day basis is such a challenge. Everything has become so complex. We keep talking about simplifying and we just don't know how to manage those, right, from a day-to perspective. So they tell us, first of all, one thing, first they talk about automation a lot. The second thing, they talk about AI/ML, right? So that's where it comes from. They're saying, how do I manage so many products that are there in my data center, in my enterprise network? And I have no idea what's really going on. Am I really, first of all, utilizing all the features that are given? And at one point in time, do you remember, Pallavi, we did a kind of math of saying that every year product managers take pride. I put in 15 features. It's a race of numbers, right? And then when we did the math, and as from a customer experience team, we went back and told them, do you know that our customers are not using more than 15 to 20% of the features that you put into the product?
We didn't let her talk to our big bosses. She just came to us.
I'm like saying, what happens to the rest of the 80% of the features you did? What you did is that you made the product so complex that people, first of all, don't know how to use those features. Who is teaching them how to use those features? And second is, how do you manage the complexity that you brought into the product for things that you didn't even want? Because you imagine they're going to use this 100 different ways. And you thought of all possible combinations that you wanted to do and put it in there and they brought in so much of complexity. Now the CIO say, can you please simplify this for me? So can you bring in automation? Can you tell me AI/ML? And most importantly, if something is, how do I know if something is going to fail, right? For them, their OpEx costs are becoming higher and high because we made the product so complex. They need really experts to go and manage these products for them. So first thing they're saying is, my CapEx budget is okay, but my OpEx budget keeps getting cut every year by 15%, 20%. Can you give me products that will, now they're asking us for products that will help manage those other products, right?
There you go. We have the incremental innovation.
Absolutely. You created
And
the
more
need.
avenue for revenue.
You created the need. So that's how you created the need. And voila, we go back and we have now created automation. We have created AI ML to say, hey, you know what? All of this is going to help you simplify that. And guess what? Again, you put so many features into those products.
No, that's excellent.
What are you guys doing in engineering and product management? I should ask you guys.
So I think that thanks for venting your frustration there. This is the relationship we have with customer success. But they are very thankful for the product we've built, both customers and the team. Now, getting to the solution aspect, I think what you're getting to is, hey, product managers, don't look at individual products, the product that you are building, right? What you're telling us is, look at the entire solution and maybe even look at quote unquote co-opetition, right? Look at the ecosystem partners, look at how competitors are building, and maybe work with them in certain areas to essentially meet the needs of customers. So can you give us, I know you've worked with large names, can you give us one deployment example there where this has worked beautifully?
No, you're right? Customers really are there to buy products. You all need to understand that, right? They are there to ask you to solve their business needs, right? One great example I'll give you is Rakuten. I think if people have been here since morning, I heard you heard that person talk about the innovation, right? The good thing with Rakuten was Rakuten and Jio in this region were probably the first-hand greenfield service provider who took birth within the span of 2 to 3 years. They were up. Again, without trying to sound as we are advertising Cisco here, they have been our biggest customer. Both Jio and Rakuten have been our biggest customer in the last 4 or 5 years, where we actually stood up their network, a greenfield service provider in a span of 3 years. In 10 years back, a decade back, the same thing would have probably taken us 10 years to actually bring a service provider up to get and running. And the beauty of Rakuten was they came and told Cisco, the only way that I think we can get up the ground and running is if we are very hardware centric, it's going to take us a very long time. I want to build everything on software, everything on virtualized. So everything that you have product today as a hardware, can you make it run as a software in a virtualized environment on a platform for us and give it to me, right? And they also said, by the way, I want to run an end-to-end network solution. And I want you to figure out how to make that happen. So we figured that, by the way, I don't have all the products that will solve the customer's problem, right? Because for when they're looking for a solution, saying that I don't have anything, I'm a greenfield, build me everything from scratch. There are a lot of things that we don't make in Cisco, right? So which also then you start realizing as a product manager, if I'm there having that customer contact and say that, okay, I'm not going to say, sorry, I will only give you these 3 pieces. I don't know where you're going to get the 4 pieces from, right? That's not the approach. So this is the new era of solutioning. It's not about product management, it's a solution management where you figure, I'm here to solve my customer problem. They want an end-to-end solution, they've come to me, and then you figure out who your ecosystem partners are. There is a picture to build for your customer. It's a puzzle. You have 4 pieces of the puzzle, maybe it needs 12 other puzzles. Where are you going to get it from? Who are your ecosystem partners that you will pair with? And you go to the solution, with the solution to your customer and say, you know what, I'll build the picture. Okay, let's get some of these people to come in. I will manage the solution for you. But for you, as far as you're concerned, I'm the sole person you come to. I will figure out how to do it. So one of the things that is really changing in this modern world is about solution, not product, where you're looking at building the ecosystem of people that you go with. You know, and the funny thing about this whole ecosystem, I figured, is that sometimes the lines have now blurred. Right? Who you thought of your competitors are your customers. Who you thought of your competitors are your go-to-market partners. Who you thought as your competitors can be your ecosystem partners as well, right? And I think that's the beauty. Today, we have tied up with Rakuten, who was our customer now, but they're also our go-to-market for building similar solutions in other parts of the country. Microsoft is our competitor in certain vertical segments, but they are now our go-to-market partner for a lot of enterprise solutions that they are going to take to the market. Like, for example, where they have Microsoft 365, they will bring in Cisco products. Where we have Cisco products, we are going to bring in Microsoft 365, right? Same thing with you, when we talk about Cisco as a networking company, right? We almost thought the cloud killed us. We thought Amazon, Google all came and you know, all this on-prem network is gone, but they're all our partners. They're our customers. There are go-to-market. A lot of our software products are now today sold on AWS, on Azure, on Microsoft, Google. So the whole thing is changing today, right? This 360-degree relationship of how you're going to build your ecosystem at various aspects. This has been a very, very interesting shift in paradigm over the last 5 years, which is amazing.
That's very true. We've even, I remember a Cisco where we never showcased the competition in a keynote. And I now see a Cisco that shows competition and everybody that's coming together, of course, where we don't compete. Taking the solution piece, and you talk to a lot of CIOs, I think when we get to that, fine, we've defined a solution, we are now on cloud, we have simplified it, maybe with a lot of features, but we have simplified it. Every one of the companies that are out there, they're talking about acquiring customers, but they also know that acquiring new customers are more difficult than retaining the existing ones, right? How do we work with you talk to them about data operations with CIOs? How do we work with you to make that happen, to retain existing customers? And for Cisco or for any of the companies that have been around, or even the ones that already have brownfield deployments, that is, you have your existing customers, it becomes that much more important. Earlier, in the non-cloud environment, once they've invested in you, it was much easier to retain them. Now in the cloud world, the loyalty doesn't exist as much, the forced loyalty, right? What's your take on that?
Absolutely. How many of you have all Netflix, Prime, Disney, Hotstar,
Everyone.
and everything? How easy it is to switch for you from watching from this to that, right? So easy. Well, we all think, by the way, all the cloud companies usually sell by saying it's so easy to switch. We know the reality after several years that you're not. You just can't switch. You just can't unplug all your applications from one cloud and plug it into the other cloud. That's not the reality, right? Having said that, yes, but you know, in the next bid, every year, so most of us we are moving from, when we talk about product sales, you all think, I'm selling, I'm done. Now I'm going to look for 10 new customers. It's much more harder, right? What is important is to retain. So the idea is now, as we are moving to software and cloud, we are more talking now about revenue through subscriptions. And a lot of the same Netflix and everything, right? For them, the one-time sale is not as much as subscription. Imagine all the cars that you buy today. You all know that, right? You buy a car today, you go out. What do the dealership do? Where are they making most money? Servicing, right? Every year, you have to go there. Go for servicing, you pay. It's the same concept when it comes to product, right? It's not about one-time sale. It's about how do you keep your customers to keep coming back to you every year with incremental software updates that you're going to give them, the servicing that you give to them. There is a lot of money actually also in servicing, and that's where I come from, services that I'm talking about. I want to open up your mind.
And you blame us for creating those complex functions. Jeez.
Hey, someone had to step up and help our customers finally, right, when they did this, right? So you talk about subscriptions, and the only way that people are not going to, say, for example, today you have a Toyota car and you love it, but you half the time you're not using all the features. You don't even know what is available. Assume I from Toyota will sit with you and tell you that over the next 1 month, I will show you all the features of this car. I will show you how to maximize the revenue, that what you spent. I want you to make sure that you're using every single feature, you're using it effectively, so you fall in really love with the car that you bought, that the next time After 7 years, if you want to buy another car, you will probably end up going by the same car because you really fell in love with it and you knew that I got the maximum ROI on what I bought. I got the outcome that I was looking for. And that is the whole subscription now. Unless the customer feels that I've utilized everything that I bought and I saw the value from it, they are not going to come back and renew that subscription with you.
Definitely.
Right?
Yes.
So I think that's the new mantra, and this is something that all of you should be looking about, right? So one of two, three things. One, don't think about product, think about solution. When you're talking about solution, all the products in that solution doesn't need to come from your company. It can be, think about ecosystem, think about your competitors, think about everyone that can help you to get to what finally the customer wants as an outcome. Third is, how do you make sure that the customer is getting the outcome and the ROI what they thought, right? By engaging your services team with them, so that on every time they are going there, helping them understand, helping train them to use the product. Tell them what all features are there. They maximize the ROI. Say that, hey, did you get what you wanted to do out of it? Can we renew it? Can we upsell it? We say, okay, now next time you go and tell them, hey, your Toyota Corolla did great. Okay, now can we look at Fortuner as your next car? Because, hey, you know what? I've gotten even more features and I'll give you the same experience as you buy that, right? These are all the things that are really changing out there and that I think all of you should be aware of.
Thanks for summarizing that, Pallavi. And I will add to that don't listen to your customer success when they say you're building too complex because you want to get the product out first. We can always do incremental and then give them more work. All right, with that, we will open it up to the forum. We have a few more minutes. There's a bell for tea, I guess.
Hello. So it was nice seeing how you guys talk, but that's my relationship with my experience manager as well. And this is actually a question to Pallavi Srinivasa. How do you maintain that relationship, and how do you promote them to understand where you're coming from? So like the main stakeholder management part, how does that work between the experience manager and the product manager? At the same time, how do you promote them with some product-led thinking or involving them in the solution phasing or solution part of the problem statements that we have figured out as a team?
You put them in a room and beat them up, and if they don't listen, you just ignore. No. Engineering, product management, and the customer service team, we normally come together at least, once a month. Of course, we talk, outside of that, but just to keep us on the same page for customer adoption, we, have an interlock, but that's sort of the process part. But in terms of helping us, each other, understand each other, there's always data in terms of the revenue that's coming from the customer, in terms of what the customer interpretation is, and what are the capabilities of the software and also the hardware that we are building on. So a lot of discussions and negotiations between us, and then, you, just like any negotiation, I wouldn't say midway, but go either side of it. But continuous engagement and going to the customer together, I think that helps really, that helps a lot.
Yeah, if I can add, I think about this as a loop back mechanism, right? Product marketing may go and talk to customers every now and then, but then your services team is literally talking to them. They know what the pain points are. They know how difficult it was to deploy this product or get it up and running, what things are missing for them from a day two perspective, right? I think if you can come up with a mechanism where you are doing this continuous loop back mechanism where the services team can come and give feedback to the product marketing saying that, hey, you know what, like I said, if I hadn't told her that more than 80% of the features that you put in is not even being used, how would they have known that? Right? If I didn't tell her what the customers are actually feeling about the product, where they are, what is the complexity, what are the things that we need to do, because you come up with various features, but then how are you even asking others what are the other features that you need to do, right? I think it's important to make that. Just create those forums where they can all get together every month and have this healthy discussion.
I know it's when you're a startup or a small company, it feels like it's an added task on top of all that you're doing. Even I felt that when we started this, even I felt that like every Monday 11:30, do I need to attend this? I can do something else. But it definitely adds a lot of value, because if you as just a product manager, or even if you go with sales and ask the customer, can I just sit here and watch you do stuff? Customer will not let you do that. I mean, they're very uncomfortable. Whereas a services person, they are working, and if there is an issue, they're vulnerable to it, right? So they will open up in terms of what issues they're facing. So it's well worth doing that.
Rotate people, by the way. I did exactly what she did 6 years back. I was actually developing products. I was the person who created the problem. So when I actually went into services, they all invited me, saying that, thank you for creating jobs for us. Because if you hadn't made all those mess that you made in product and created all these complex products, we wouldn't have jobs.
Thank you so much to both of you.
Great session. So for my question is that you spoke about how collaboration over competition is the way to go, right? But when we do so, we basically end up collaborating and integrating with multiple solutions, other solutions, right, to create a ecosystem which we can sell. But how does the customer take it? Like for example, we are also building solutions where we have integrated with a payroll partner ADP, right? Now, when we are trying to sell, the problem is that the customer wants a one-stop shop, right? But we know that we cannot provide all of it, so we collaborate. So in this way, like how do we portray ourselves to be an easy way wherein we say we are a stack of softwares, but will help you to solve your problem?
You should quote the Huawei example.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example. So in Philippines, again, there was a service provider who started it, and they originally were a Huawei shop, where their original network was Huawei. Then they said, okay, most of the people now don't want to go with one vendor. For the same reason, they want to kind of create that competition, because they feel that always gives the best for them, what they want. And they told Cisco, okay, look, I'm going to next bring you in, but I'm not going to take Huawei out. I'm going to keep you and Huawei in, right? But what you need to do is, I like the way you automate, and your software automation products are fantastic, but you want to make sure that the software automation, which is a layer above, works even on Huawei routers, and make sure you actually can, program them, manage even the Huawei routers, right? Obviously, Huawei didn't like that. If given a choice, they wouldn't have even opened up their APIs to talk to our automation. But customers, the customers said, Huawei, you don't have a choice. Sorry, we are bringing in Cisco. You need to make it all happen. And they told us, you have to figure out how to work with them and make this happen. So it was a matter of both Huawei and we said, okay, you know what? We agree at any point in time, not all of us will get a monopoly. We need to work with each other. So we actually cooperated. We worked with each other, where our software automation piece finally actually worked with the products. And we have done this many a times, right? But I think you don't have a choice, because see, even when you look at applications, the number of applications that any IT runs, it's multitude of things. So remember, sometimes the customers don't necessarily buy products because you are only best in class. They always think about what happens later. If I run into problem, who will come to my rescue? Because everyone knows at the end of the day, product, software will have issues, will have bugs, will have something. So sometimes they look at someone who can actually be there no matter where the problem is. Is there someone who will support? And they may not have the best in class product, but they will still go to them because they'll think that this is the person. That's where the opportunity is, right? So for example, I'll give you an example, right? So today in Cisco, we actually go to market with a lot of VMware, Oracle, Microsoft, everyone. And this is from a services arm. It's not the product team, but the services team, that's where comes in handy. And we tell that it doesn't matter who has the problem, you call us. And we have done agreements with all of these companies in the back end, saying that for a go-to-market, hey, VMware may be the first incumbent in there, and they sell Cisco. We sell VMware in turn. So we're actually kind of go-to-market partners because we position each other in there. And then in the back end, we figure out if there is a problem, how we sort it in the back end between us, but we don't get customers to do it, right? That's where the ecosystem partners happen. And this is done with the help of your sales team and services team. When you go to, so this is all part of the go-to-market strategy. You can create a product, but then your go-to-market strategy should be figuring out who your ecosystem partners are and how do you each place each other's products where they are incumbent and where you are an entrant, and then you figure out what the back-end system is to work through the whole process.
Oh, great, thank you.
She forgot that product team created the ecosystem.
They did? No, wait, but hey, I think...
So essentially what we are trying to say is if you have the right support and you're able to make the integration work, the customer will be with you, no matter which other products you're using. You tell me when to stop.
Hi, good evening. I'm Carolyn. I'm working as a product manager for a CRM called Hello Leads. I'm actually just the opposite of Arora. Like I started as a customer success manager, then I moved into as a product manager. So earlier when I used to speak to customers, they used to say, if I only have this feature, it would be very nice. I could have gone for your product. Then I would go to my manager and say like, you know what this person is asking, so we want it. And sometimes, yes, they come once we build it, and sometimes we don't see them. The same thing is happening now to me. So I can see my customer success manager come to me saying, just bring this feature, I'll bring you 10 users package, I'll bring you 50 users package. So now I know the situation. So both the times, we are not able to decide, will it really work? So when you say like you meet every week and you speak like these are the features and these are the issues. So when you decide in prioritizing which task to take next to build in a product, these kinds of questions when it comes, when people promise, but we don't know whether they will really come or not. Is there anything that you look into that will help you to decide on which actually you can go with?
Yeah. I think interlocking with customer experience is one of the elements. You're also looking at the market share. You're also looking at different segments that you're selling the solution or the product into, and that functionality or feature, whether it's sales asking or somebody else asking, you have to weigh that against whether all my customers would find this usable. Will they adopt this functionality? Will that bring us more revenue? So you have to look at it through that lens and figure out whether you want to adapt that or not. Otherwise, I've never heard customer success say, include this feature and we'll be able to sell more. They always talk about serviceability, which I think is very much needed. But sales will always come and say, this one feature and RFP check and we can sell millions of dollars, right? You have to make your decision based on what makes sense from a global standpoint.
Thank you.
Hi. So in an organization as big as Cisco, wanted to know how involved the product team is in user research or talking to the customers, especially when there's a dedicated team for customer success.
We have, in the product management organization, Cisco has three sub-divisions. One is obviously the product management. We look at the entire life cycle, starting from market research all the way to pricing, launch, and complete life cycle. You have what we call a technical marketing engineer, which is sort of a pre-sales equivalent for the product, a subject matter expert on the technical front. And then you have the UX involved in that. So all of us work together and work with different stakeholders, customer success, sales, channel partners, customers themselves, finance. So UX, yes, we are definitely, UX is part of the designing process, and at the end of it as well, has the product come out according to our expectations?
Got it. Yeah, thank you so much.
So I'm just thinking out loud. We talk a lot about automation, test automation, the other automations. Will there be any automation in product management? Do you think, like we were saying, look, cloud will take away a lot of jobs, a lot of things. Do you think in future, some of the work which is done as product management will get automated, probably opening new avenues for us as an individual as well?
I think there is, I was talking about this, I think, in one of the UBS forums. In the initial, if you look at your product management process, right, you have the definition piece, you define requirements, you work with engineering. All of those very hard to automate because there's a lot of, going back and forth, negotiation, and even when you do the market research, maybe some of it can be automated, but making sense in that particular context cannot be automated, at least as of now, right? So the initial piece, so far, no. The piece later on in terms of analyzing for pricing and how do we go to market with digital influencers and how do we put out the documentation, most of those, I think people are heading in that basically automating some of those processes. So the latter one, yes. The earlier one, so far, no. But who knows what holds.
Let me take a shot at it, right? To do anything related to automation or AI/ML, there has to be a huge amount of data available. Yeah. That's the building block. Where is data today? What data of product marketing is available today that can be looked at for automation in AI/ML, right? I think it's all more possible now than before, especially when you are all connected and sending it back. So if in a real time, if your entire customer life cycle is automated today, where today at any point in time, you know how your customer is using the product, what features they are using, what is not there, and you are able to take a feedback at any point in time. Because today, a lot of the customers can actually online, when they're using a product, they can actually input and say, hey, this is missing for me. And if there is a way for you to provide continuous loop feedback directly from your customers coming to you, you remove all the middlemen and use your automation to give a real-time feedback to you and say that how much is it worth to you, what is it that you need, and you start building this data, and then you can use automation to actually start seeing the trend of what are the features that are most being used, what are the features that are least being used, where are most of your issues, trouble tickets are coming from. All right, and what is really causing it, and which are the things. I think the more you are connected to your customers directly, you have a streaming data coming to you, collecting a lot of the data, a lot of the automation is possible today.
That's a valid point. The incremental innovation, yes, but if you are thinking tangentially and coming out with a new one, I think Pawan was talking about that equilibrium. I think that still cannot be automated.
Obviously,
who
right?
knows? Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, folks. There's one more question.
Okay. Sorry, there are lights right in our eyes.
Hey, this is Murugan Chidambaram. I have one quick question. If there is any insight, can you throw us, if we are, I'm forgetting about external customer for some time. If we are creating some application or framework for internal customer, what kind of strategy we can take for them to adopt quickly?
Who are these internal customers? We ignore them.
Maybe inside organization?
No, they are our internal customers, them and the IT
It is completely
folks.
different strategy, right?
Do you want to?
I think it's the same thing, right? I think for the best way to know adoption, to drive adoption, is to be connected in real time, in my opinion, right? And it's more and more possible because everyone is into cloud and controllers that you can actually figure out who is using what. There are so many applications, like for example, in Cisco, we have something called as AppD, where it will tell you in real time what applications are being used, at what time of the day they are being used, who is using them for doing what, right? And if once you know that, and then everyone will ask for feedback, right? Rate this application that you used, and so on, right? I think if you can look at the data that's coming back to you, make sure that you're constantly connected through a platform to your users, where you get real-time data, you get real-time feedback, and if someone is not using it, I think best is to then make sure that you actually ask people, why are you not using these features? By the way, this is there. And then the best way to do it is to keep running training sessions with your internal customers, like what the example that I gave you. I will sit with you for the next 1 month. I'll show you all the features. This is all the magic you can do. The more you can spend time with them and train them and figure them, tell them how it can actually solve their day-to-day problem, how fast they can do it now because they've adopted this product. That's what drives the adoption.
So we've always done this. Our own internal IT team, we call them customer zero. Whenever we've released a new product, there's no difference in terms of how we design the product because they are similar to our external customers. But we take their input, we go to them first and go through the trials with them. And they are the toughest customers because we are internal. They can actually give us honest feedback. And once they are okay, we are 100% sure that external customers will be fine.
That's great, and that's what you call it as eat your own dog food, right? We do that dog fooding a lot all the time, where you should be using your own products. In fact, customers come and ask us, you are selling all these enterprise products. Do you use it in your own enterprise? Can you show us that you're really using it? And they come and interview our CIO to say, show me what percentage of your products you are consuming your own, and how is that going?
Yes. All right.
All right. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone, for sitting for the last session.
Thank
before
you.
you all head off.
Thank you for this very engaging and insightful fireside chat.